And we are back live for games 3 and 4 of the World E-Hockey Playoffs. It is time for the Stanley Cup Championship. The Montreal Canadiens and the St. Louis Blues going again for games 3 and 4 tonight. The series is tied at 1 game apiece. And we'll see if anyone can get the upper hand or if we're going to be tied up at 2-2 after this evening. Hi, everyone. T-Sibs with you. And as usual, we're back tonight with Lucky Pucker, a few others. Doc Marshmallow will be here as well. And we got a chance in the pregame show to sit down with Midnight Fapper and talk to him a little bit about last night and about some strategy possibly for tonight. Fap, thanks for joining us in the pregame show. And again, your team, a good first game last night. You guys looked like you were playing what you wanted to play out there on the ice. Second game, a lot of penalties. Talk to me about those first 2 games. What did you learn about your team in games 1 and 2?
Well, you know, we came out in game 1 trying to just come out firing and knock St. Louis off and just kind of show them that we're here and that we're not going to just go down and bend over like they thought we would. And we had a game plan and we executed it, and we executed it very well. Game 2, I don't feel like game 2 honestly was as bad as it may have seemed. At the first, near the beginning, we had our issues. We took that 5-minute major that really kind of set the tone for the rest of the game. But if you really, were to actually go back and look at the game, 1 or 2 bounces go our way, and we actually, we're tied or we're even winning in that game. And we got to stay a little bit more disciplined in penalty minutes. We are I think we might be the highest penalized team in the playoffs, which that's not a good title to have in the playoffs, that's for sure. But we're gonna do what we can. We're gonna recover and come out firing again.
Midnight, the game 1 went pretty well for you. What were some of the positives you took away from game 1 that you want your team to continue throughout the series to be successful?
We were really we moved the puck well on offense, and we limited our turnovers in the defensive zone, which we kind of got away from in game 2, and that almost bit us, in the butt a couple times. But I think as long as we just stay disciplined on both ends of the ice and play our game, I think we'll be okay. That's what we're going to go ahead and plan to do.
Hey, what did you get from the games last night in St. Louis? You were in net for that second game, and it looked like they had some more opportunities. You made some pretty key saves. What did you get from their play last night? What do you think? What do you think they're doing well that you guys need to find maybe a little better solution for?
That white knuckles line is going to be tough. It's going to be a hard fought game every time we come out and play them.
Sure.
I had an idea of what they were going to do going into the game, just because I kind of understand the play style of those types of players. And I've played around those types of players before. And we knew they were going to get a lead. They were going to limit our chances on defense, and they were going to hold the puck in our offensive zone for a long time, which is what they do. They dance, they sit in the corners and try to get us to bite and leave an open passing lane. They really just try to open you up and try to get in close, and we got away from it a little bit. We kind of got undisciplined a couple of times, and we just gotta stay disciplined and understand that we're gonna not have the puck as long as they will, because that's just how it's gonna be. But just capitalize on the opportunities we get.
Yeah, Midnight. What do your team need to do to win game 3 and 4, and how important is game 3 and 4 to get a win for your team?
Well, we're obviously getting ready to face White Knuckles line again. We don't know which game it's going to be in because we don't have the line advantages these two games, but we know that we're going to have a dogfight in that game, whether it's game 3 or 4, and we're going to really look to just come out and win game 3 because I think winning game 3 is going to be a big key to the rest of this series for both teams because I think the team that wins game 3 is going to really have the upper hand because you'll have your back against the wall in game 4 because if you go down 3-1 in this series, it's not looking too good for either team.
Do you feel like you need to take one of these two? Do you need to at least come out with a split 2-2 tonight, if not ahead 3-1?
Given I would usually say we would be okay, and we'll be able to battle out of it. But given the fact that we got the whole weird home ice type of deal, coming out of games 3 and 4, I would like to at least be 2-2. Worst case scenario 2-2. I think if we were down 1-3 or 3-1 to St. Louis, it would be tough for us just because we would still face that White Knuckles line one more time, and I would like to know when that would happen.
Right.
And given the fact that they have the lineup advantage for game 5, that would be really tough on us because I would have to post a lineup out there and kind of not know what they have in their plans for games 5 and 6 because obviously if you're keeping track of the lines, once you know who plays game 5, you will already know who's playing game 6. So it's kind of like the game 6 lineup advantage for us is it's cool, but it's kind of pointless because if you're keeping track of who's playing in those previous games, you kind of know given the player limits who's going to be playing in game 6.
Listen, Fapper, best of luck tonight, and thanks for joining us on the pregame show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, guys.
Midnight Fapper on the pregame show, and again, we thank him for his time today. Lucky Pucker, Doc Marshmallow, Fort, all here with me now on the broadcast, and about 5 minutes or so, well, probably more, considering when these games typically start, but probably 5-10 minutes away from the start of a game. And Fort, you got a chance to hear a little bit of Fap in the pregame and what he saw out of his team, and again, you've had a little bit of time to think about how the game played yesterday. In your mind, what do you think Montreal needs to do better in games 3 and 4 to have a chance to at least take one and maybe take 2 games? What do they have to improve on?
Sorry. Truthfully, I think Montreal just needs to come out, play their style of game. Don't let St. Louis kind of take over. When we know they can, kind of get back to the basics. Play that style of game that they played in the first game, and just kind of get back to basics on it.
And Doc Marshmallow also here with us. What on the other side for St. Louis? Again, they got hurt by penalties. I think both of these teams got hurt by massive amounts of penalties in both of these games. The play was pretty sloppy for the first 2 games of a cup final. What was your take on what you saw last night?
Well, it honestly looks like they're trying to feel each other out a little bit, figure out what will work and what won't work. And there was definitely frustration, probably nerves for a lot of the guys who haven't been in this situation before. And that's going to be a big thing today because I think White Knuckler's line is in today. Is that correct?
Possibly for game 4. We don't have that yet. But in game 3, it's the Rapel, Kornick, and Bergeron going for St. Louis in game 3, as far as we know.
Yeah, and that's a pretty explosive line in itself. High offense right there. But I think if Montreal can get themselves centered, knock the nerves out. He said they took a lot of penalties. They're the most penalized team in the playoffs. If they can fix those mental errors, they can stop giving St. Louis opportunities to beat them.
Right.
And I do think Montreal has the right lineup to pull this off. They just have to center themselves.
Puck, are we surprised at the amount of penalties that we saw in the game last night? Again, we've seen both of these teams play in the first 3 rounds. We didn't see that kind of lack of discipline in the first couple of games. And last night, I don't know if it's nerves. I don't know if it's, the frustration's a little more heightened when you lose the puck and guys are taking whacks. It was just interesting to see both teams really, both getting majors last night in both the games. So it just seemed like guys maybe, I don't know, a little bit more angry when things didn't go their way last night. What's your take on all the penalties that we saw?
Well, it's kind of been a trend that we started to see in the last couple of rounds of the playoffs. Somebody mentioned possibly a tuner change that's, causing the game to be a little bit more sensitive to it. But at the end of the day, when you make a bad mistake, you can't make it worse by just hitting that R1 button or slashing with that X button. You just got to get yourself back into position and recover and put yourself in a good position moving forward instead of making a bad situation worse. Yeah, Montreal's consistently been pretty bad about their penalties. It's something that could definitely prove to be their Achilles heel with this St. Louis team. They don't need any help to be explosive offensively, and when you give them power play after power play opportunity, they're going to find a way to capitalize. So Montreal needs to tighten that up. It's uncharacteristic to see St. Louis take as many penalties as they have in this first 2 games, and I definitely expect them to tighten that up as well. Their penalty kill percentage is 80%, so it doesn't hurt them that bad when they take penalties because they're able to kill it off most of the time. But yeah, absolutely, it's going to be important for both of these teams to be more disciplined moving forward.
Doc, I'm not sure what you saw last night in these games, but I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the goaltending play because we haven't talked an awful lot about it necessarily in the playoffs, and usually in the semifinals and the finals, you wind up seeing a couple of goaltenders who really take charge, who wind up being a savior in their games. Now, last night, Montreal dropped the second game 4-2, but they stayed in that game in my mind because of the way Fapper was playing in net. He was denying a lot of good chances. He stopped RV Clutch a few times on some really good opportunities, and it could be he's in game 3, I believe, tonight. He could wind up being a real factor. What's your take on the goaltending that you've seen to this point, Doc?
Well, I can tell you Fapper is one of the better goalies I've seen. I didn't really know him until this league, and then watching him through the playoffs, he's been huge for his team. Absolutely. He makes saves that a lot of goalies will miss, and RV Clutch is not an easy guy to stop. I know that from experience. He's lit me up several times. He just seems to have a poise, and he knows that all he has to do is backstop his team, and they'll get the rest done. And that's critical for a playoff team. Every playoffs I've ever seen, it always seems to come down to the goalie. They always get tighter, or the games get tighter, and the goalies always have to. There's more asked of them, it seems, in the playoffs. But having a guy like Midnight Fapper, that's a game changer, 100%, and he's playing really well.
Let's talk a little bit about these starting lineups, and I want to start with Fort first. You see this St. Louis Blues team with Kornecht and Rapel and Bergeron up front, and that's, these guys are, are a pretty good offensive powerhouse. How do you see this first game, Montreal and St. Louis? Do the Blues have too much firepower going this game? Is Fapper going to be enough? What's your take on the lineups with the Blues starting Kornecht and Rapel in this one? Fort?
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, my internet cut out right as you were saying.
Yeah, no.
No, I mean, truthfully, I think Montreal. I think they just have to play Rapel and Kornet, the same way they did yesterday. Kind of lock them down, play defensively, but also put a lot of offensive pressure on, because you can't, like we've said in the past, you can't let St. Louis walk all over you. And, St. Louis obviously isn't a team to, let up at all. And I think Montreal, truthfully, I think Montreal could come out, play, possibly lose the first game, and still find a way to get back in it if that's what it came down to. No, I hope it doesn't come down to that, obviously.
Still a few minutes away from this game starting. I think Montreal still may be getting some practice in at this point, but once they're done, hopefully we get this one rolling here. We thank EHANS for being able to provide a stream tonight. We might also be able to see Fapper in net, which would be nice to see, considering his action last night and how he was able to play. I would love to see his perspective in this game, and get a little bit of a camera angle from that side. We'll try and give you that from time to time if we can. Fortunately, these streams don't always sync up to each other, so it might be a little difficult. But we'll try and give you a little bit of both if both of them are streaming. Again, T. Sibbs, Fort, Doc Marshmallow, and Lucky Pucker here with you, waiting for Game 3 to start up. St. Louis has Kornet, Rapel, and Bergeron up front. Top Cheese and Scorshin on defense, and Skinny Pete and net. On the other side, Montreal has Fingers down south and EHANS up front. Dakota Pie, backhand Jamboree on defense, and Fapper in net. And I like this Montreal team. I mean, we talked about it last night. We knew we'd see EHANS in here at some point. And I think that's a pretty good offensive line, but also a line that I've seen play defense pretty well. And with Midnight Fapper in there, I think it's a good matchup that we're seeing here, Pucker. I think this could be, this could be a 3-2, maybe even a 4-3 game. But I think goaltending on both sides, could wind up keeping this a low-scoring affair.
Yeah, absolutely. Montreal got together over the weekend. We're kind of working on some game planning to go into this Stanley Cup Finals, and they said that they found something special with this group of guys, and they think that we'll be happy with what we see from that. So I'm expecting a big game from this Montreal lineup. There's a lot of firepower, but there's a good balance between offensive firepower and also defensive play. This St. Louis line, we've consistently seen, actually they've been consistently inconsistent. So this line has had really terrible games, and then they've come back and blown people out. So it'll be interesting to see which one shows up tonight. They got their butt whipped last night, so I definitely would expect them to come out with all guns blazing. Again, we see St. Louis with a non-traditional center playing center, and I can't tell you how much that can stress a team's defense out. So hopefully it's Rapel can hold it down at center, and between him, Kornet, and Bergeron get some offensive firepower going, and St. Louis may have a high-scoring game. But again, St. Louis has been changing up their lines, and it's awful late in the playoffs to be doing that. So hopefully it's not going to hurt them.
We've got the teams about ready to get set up here. I think Montreal's done with their warm-up, so we should be seeing them soon. Game 4, Montreal's got their lineup in, which, of course, they need to have that in ahead of time, with Messiah down south and Fingers in this one again. So, actually, Messiah taking the left wing for EHANS in Game 4. Backhand and Dakota on defense, and Cab Relics in net for Montreal. No lineup yet for Game 4 for St. Louis, and they have until obviously 9:30 to get it in. So I now refresh my memory, or actually help clear it up at least. Game 4 is there still a chance that other players could play, or are we down to there are certain players that have to be in by Game 4 at this point?
Yeah, so for Montreal's line, it's locked at this point. If they make a substitution for whatever reason, due to scheduling or anything, every player that's substituted, they owe the other team a penalty. Now, St. Louis's line's not due yet. If St. Louis fails to put out their lines or does put out their lines late, then they'll owe Montreal penalties. So no, the lines aren't necessarily locked, but at this point, you're going to start to pay for every time that you make a change with a maximum of 2 penalties, because it's kind of silly to take 5 penalties off of a whole line substitution.
Does St. Louis only have so many guys that can play Game 4 right now? How does that work? Or are they still capable of playing some other guys that may have already played in a couple of games?
Yeah, so since St. Louis played basically two different lines, Game 1 to Game 2, we could see anybody play Game 4 at this point.
Okay.
They did have 2 defensive men play both Game 1 and Game 2, but they still have a third game that they could play in Game 4 if they wanted to do it that way. But that would mean that defensive pair was maxed out, and we would not see them again unless we got to Game 7.
Man, I would almost want to see. I would almost want this game to start as soon as possible. If I'm St. Think you get it done before 9:30. You can always still make a change in your lineup. But we're still at 9:08 here. I think now we're getting a search going. So hopefully we'll see a game pop up here. But I would try and get that done as soon as possible if I'm them. But looks like we have both teams. We'll see if we get this one going. If there's no lag outs, we'll get this. It looks like there already is an issue with somebody having the drop, so we'll have to start this one up again. T-Sibs with you, and we're close to getting a game going here. Still waiting for the teams to now they have to restart, so We'll get you back into a game once we have one going here. But yeah, my point was just that if I'm St. Louis, I'd want this Game 3 to be done as soon as possible. Get it done before 9:30. You could still maybe make a last-minute change if you lost Game 3. But at this point now, maybe they get this going 10 after, 11 after. I don't think you're going to get this game in before 9:30 kicks over, and if you want to make a change, you're going to wind up having to take a penalty at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. And those penalties can add up. When you start down in the beginning of the game, 3-on-5, you give the other team the momentum, the opportunity to score first, and it puts a lot of pressure on your team if they're able to capitalize on those penalties. So ideally, you want to get your lines in and just stick with them if you can and go from there.
Montreal's gathering. We'll hopefully see this game starting up soon.
Sibs, while they're gathering, do you want to talk about the different ways people can connect with the World E-Hockey League?
Well, that's a beautiful idea. We got a number of ways you can pick us up. We're, of course, on YouTube. If you're watching now, you already know about WEHL Sportscast. On Twitter and Instagram, it's WEHL Official. As you're checking out the screen right now, you see it up there. And in the bottom left-hand corner, you see Facebook is World E-Hockey League, and we're on there as well. So plenty of places to get us. You can also check out World E-Hockey. The web page itself is worldehockey.com. And we've printed it up a little bit. We've got the links to the broadcasts, so we're going to have that here for each of these games. And we have we have links to yesterday's broadcast. We have a link to the live one today. We'll keep those scores up to date as much as we can, and give you a chance to be able to stay up to date right there. But of course, everything is on Discord as well. So catch us on Discord. Give us a shout, any one of us. Pucker is more than happy to be berated with emails and messages. So send him anything and everything you can. Any question. There's no question too insignificant. I'm sure Pucker will have an answer for it. Or maybe not.
No, I was going to say, yeah, absolutely. We'll try to get back to you as quickly as we can with those responses. Yeah, we'll do the best we can for sure.
Drop of the puck right now as game number 3 is underway, and St. Louis, I think, has to take a penalty. Montreal's waiting. But I don't think St. Louis thinks they have a penalty to take here, so that's going to be a lag out or whatever, and some miscommunication as to what happened there. And I think Pucker may have to step out for a second and answer the call on this one, because looks like Montreal expected St. Louis to take a penalty, and they did not. So we'll get you back to that game in a second here. Wow, that's we've seen it happen once or twice, but in the last round or two, there's been some miscommunication here and there on this, and
well, you hate to see it.
Yeah, there's definitely we've implemented a new rule where if the lineup's changed, then the teams owe each other penalties, and that has created some confusion, because I think that this WEHL is the first league to do something like that. It definitely gives the advantage to the home ice, and definitely puts a little bit more pressure for people to keep their lineups the same. I'm not sure why there was a lag out in this situation, because to my understanding, both these teams had their lines in.
So they've canceling out penalties?
Their lines were both in appropriately, is my understanding. So I don't know why they would have even taken penalties or expected each other to take the penalty. But that's another thing. When you're a manager in a league like this, you got to have good communication with the other team. If you're expecting them to take a penalty, you need to hash that stuff out before things going. And I do have a message on the stream here that said we switched Cornect. So maybe if Cornette switched,
yeah, he did.
Then they owe. St. Louis did owe them a penalty.
Yeah, Hi, I'm New is in there now for him, so we will see that here shortly as I get you up on the screen here for this. But yeah, Hi, I'm New is now in there for Cornect.
Okay, well, Scotty, and thanks for reaching out to us. Definitely join us on this broadcast. You can definitely pitch in with things like that. And we don't always know everything, so that's huge. Thanks for stepping in there.
All right, game starting up again here. And we thank you guys for being patient. I'm assuming St. Louis knows they're going to have to take a penalty, and they throw it down the ice. So they're going to need to bring it back and flip it.
Really frustrating.
Yeah. Got to flip it over the boards in your end. Somebody do it.
You're not going to get it off icing.
And that is a penalty. Okay, they just barely got it. So, minute and a half in, we got a power play from Montreal.
Jesus.
I was going to say, it amazes me. This game has been out for this long and people don't know how to dump the puck.
I'm an awful goaltender, and I know how to do that. St. Louis controlling here. Yeah.
I've done it several times.
Yeah, and finally Montreal able to get it out. Scotian able to find the puck, and now South able to move it out. Behind the net, Canadians controlling. Shot by Dakota's partially blocked, and now in front, down South able to find some room and put it home. And so Montreal, after getting a power play but not able to capitalize it, actually they did. They got it in the last few seconds. So a power play goal by down South has put Montreal ahead 1-0 in this game.
I like that St. Louis was trying to kill that penalty with a tight box, but I feel like they were too tight and let them skate around too much. Well, it was a tight diamond, really.
Montreal attacking again, and puck is held on to. We'll get a face-off. A few minutes into this one, and the Canadians quickly on top here. Back to the point, but backhand could not keep it in. Comes back out. Montreal trying to get it back in now. Dakota. Fingers. Back behind the net, and again, the shot goes wide by Ehans. St. Louis starting out with it. Now Montreal setting up. Hans. Dakota trying to flip something in front, but good play as Bergeron now trying to attack. Cross had Hyam knew, but not able to connect fully. Now a good opportunity in front as a puck is loose down south with a little bit of an issue trying to do something with it. And it looks like Bergeron was there to pound it home. So a mistake there, and something you really can't afford to do against St. Louis, has tied this game up at 1. Halfway through the first period. Fingers. Back there with down south. Puck in front. Now a quick shot, and catching Skinny Pete moving a little bit too much to his left side, and a good shot by Ehans, and once again Montreal finds himself out in front 2-1.
Looks like he was anticipating the pass there down low. Or maybe he was just adjusting. Hard to say.
And once again, Montreal finds himself out in front. Like Fingers and South had the assists on that one.
I don't know if you guys just saw that, but I saw Skinny Pete kind of moving around a little wild in the net. I think he's getting nervous.
Well, there's something to be said for that. Yeah, we've been in those kinds of games, Doc. It's, when you start feeling a little more pressure, you're gripping that controller a little tighter.
Yeah, he was kind of bouncing around from post to post as they entered the zone. I know that feeling.
Yeah.
He's just trying to get his movements adjusted, trying to get his head back in the game.
Hans trying to get out front. 3 defenders there. Has to get it back to the point. Dakota with the deflection. Now picked up by Hans. Good quick shot by Fingers, but a nice save by Skinny Pete.
That was a big save.
Blues coming out. Puck in front. Good clear out by Dakota. 3 minutes left to go in the first period. Montreal, as you see, up 2-1. Now Hans again has found a good amount of time he's been able to get in the zone and get close to the net. Montreal again with Hans on the left side. They seem to be working the play from there most of the night so far. Now Hans in front, and he banks it off the goaltender, it looked like, and in. That is a rough goal. I think I'd be more nervous after that one, Doc.
Yeah, well, that goes along with what I was saying. He's trying to... I saw him, like, hugging the post. He seems nervous. He's making mistakes with that post hug. And if he doesn't correct that soon, this is going to get ugly. He's looking in trouble.
Getting down to the last 10 seconds of the period. St. Louis getting a shot off, but not much, really. One good opportunity that got them on the board. Offside here as 1.3 left to go in the first, with Montreal out in front 3-1 here.
I'm honestly not liking much of what I'm seeing from St. Louis right now.
almost a repeat of what we saw last night. I mean, I'm kind of seeing that at this point, Pucker. How about you?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It looks like the St. Louis line that we've seen kind of shit the bed has come out to play tonight. Hopefully they can figure it out and going into the second and the third and get some things going. But yeah, this first period was brutal to watch.
Fort, what's your take on that first period?
I mean, truthfully, as much as Doc was saying, and I think, the goalie really, was trying to find his wits, in that first period, and maybe that's something he should have done before the game. Yeah. It's definitely not the St. Louis team that everybody knows. So
it doesn't look like he's trusting his defense at all. And it's making him nervous. That's what I'm seeing. Because when they were doing the wraparound chances, he didn't know where to go, who to cover. He just didn't know what to do with that defensive showing, and they weren't really protecting him either.
It's the first time we're seeing Scotian back there on defense. In Montreal one more time. They're playing that left side, and I wonder if they're trying to exploit Scotian at all because, Cheese didn't play bad last night, and maybe this pairing they think might be one that they can exploit on the left side.
I think it's a combination of that, and it's also probably a combination of that this Montreal team, from an offensive power standpoint, is stronger on that left side.
St. Louis back trying to set up again. Bergeron gets knocked off the puck. Rapel trying to get control now. Finally does. Now Bergeron in front. Nobody there and cleared out. Backhand moves it up. Ehans gets tripped up. There'll be a Montreal power play coming up here. And St. Louis needing to kill one here. Getting down 4-1. Not insurmountable for the Blues, but certainly a lot more difficult. This is a big penalty kill for them.
They're hurting themselves, and they're not really. That was the first time I've seen them really enter the zone and kind of take their time and assert themselves, but for the most part, they're just treating everything like a rush. And they have no puck possession this whole game.
To be clear, you're talking about St. Louis there, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Montreal is controlling this game 100%.
Oh, yeah.
40 seconds left on the power play, trying to get something going. It's been a little tough, so St. Louis a little bit better defense this time around, being down a man. Able to get it out of the zone, trying to start something up here. And Montreal will bring it back. Power plays over. Teams are at full strength, and the Canadians control. Hans in front, tries to push it past the far side, but can't. Dakota controls. Backhand, tries to flip one on net, does, partially deflected and held on by Skinny Pete. Another shot off the pads of Skinny. Now back out in front. Good quick pass to down south, and he slams it home.
Yeah, this is what Montreal wanted, and this is definitely what they needed. They definitely wanted to win one of these two games in Game 3 and 4, and looks like unless St. Louis has made some major adjustments going into this the rest of this game, they're going to find themselves down in this series.
And now it's a 4-1 Montreal lead here in the second period, halfway through the game. And St. Louis needs to push here, as they are doing that. In front, deflected away. Good poke check by backhand and able to get the body on the forward there. I think it was Bergeron. Nice play. Now in front. Shot deflected. It might have been tipped in by a St. Louis player. And I think Rapel might have gotten a stick on that one, so Montreal now going up 5-1. Fingers gets credit for the goal, unassisted.
So that last goal just started from a play, another rush, like I said, from St. Louis, where they didn't take their time in the zone and just tried to score really quickly, and then they weren't prepared for Montreal to come back. They really need to slow themselves down and take their time in the offensive zone, form an actual offensive presence. They've had zero all game.
We have not called Rapel or Bergeron or any of these guys too much tonight. And the other guy we haven't called an awful lot of is Fapper. He has not had much work.
I think Doc hit it right there on the head.
And a good quick play there. Sorry about that. Good quick pass again out to down south. And Montreal pouring it on now with a 6-1 lead.
Yeah.
Wow.
Again, south from fingers and hands. And 2 minutes left to go in the second. And Montreal just pouring it on at this point. And I got to believe you guys are about as surprised as I am to see what's going on here.
Honestly, I think this is almost predictable with the way St. Louis has put their lines out. Honestly, I think what St. Louis is going to need to do is they're going to need to find their best non-center center, stick his ass in the middle of the ice, and tell him to be the third D man. I think that's what they're missing.
South in front, tries to get over for fingers. He couldn't get a shot off. Now hands in front, tries to find South again, but could not get the puck. Final seconds tick off of the second period. It's been all Montreal in this game. In this second period, they bust out with 3 goals. They've scored the last 5 and lead 6-1. South has the hat trick unofficially at this point, and at least 2 assists in this game. So he's been getting fed well by Ehans and by Fingers. Guys, it's really been all Montreal. And other than what you guys have already been talking about, what do you do if you're St. Louis in this one down 6-1? Anybody?
Gotta stop the bleeding. Yeah, you gotta stop the bleeding. I was like, what else do you say? There's gotta be something better to say than that. You gotta slow this Montreal offense down. You gotta find a way to get some decent scoring chances. I think Doc hit it right on the head. Every time St. Louis has entered the zone, they've just kind of thrown a dinky shot on net, and it's not been challenging for Fapper. And Fapper's too good of a goalie to just give him those dinky shots. You're going to have to get some puck zone possession. You're going to have to get the puck to the gritty areas, and you're going to have to find a way to bury it. And we haven't seen St. Louis really be able to do that. Montreal, all they got to do to win this game is to not shoot themselves in the foot and just play some good defense. And I don't suspect that they'll fail us on that.
14-5 shots on goal in favor of Montreal. They lead 6-1 as we head to the third.
If I'm Montreal right now, I don't even want to take my foot off the pedal. They've got all the momentum going into this.
Doesn't look like they're going to. South with another goal here, another good pass. Gets 4th of the game, and again, hands and fingers on the assists.
St. Louis is rattled, and I don't see them pulling themselves out of this.
The good thing about having 3 and 4 tonight, even if they lost both, for some reason, they've got a break. They don't have to play a Game 5 tonight, and momentum would be all Montreal if that happened. But we got to get past Game 3, and then St. Louis can come back and win that one. It won't matter too much what happened in this one, although it could be a matchup problem later on in the next couple of games. Again, not much there for the guys in blue. They are finding it hard to find any opening. Hans passes, intercepted and taken by Bergeron. He gets knocked off the puck by backhand, and once again, Montreal starting out. South spinning, puck in front, but now goes behind the net. Good check by Hans to get it back. It's like St. Louis is skating in cement at this point.
They're also trying to enter the zone with just pure straight lines. It's not going to work.
And that's the downside to being down. You know that you're running out of time. You know that you're down this deep into the game, and you need to get that puck in deep, but you almost hurt yourself by just trying to straight line it in. And that's what we see St. Louis do over and over again. It makes it really easy on these defenders from Montreal to be able to step up and take the puck away.
Montreal's also had some beautiful blue line defense, and they're reading exactly what you said. And as that pressure builds more, I predict all the St. Louis players they're probably not communicating anymore, and they're probably trying to be the hero of the game, which is going to hurt them even more.
Right.
Is there anything St. Louis should be doing? Should they be trying to work some plays at least, see if they can get something going? If not really for a win, but just to see if they can figure out how to break these guys?
Chemistry?
Yeah, something.
Yeah, absolutely. At this point, they're just playing for pride, and they need to play to figure out what they need to do next game they play together. You know.
Yeah, I was gonna say I think at this point now they're playing for themselves. You know, and they're playing to not look like the fool.
Once again, Skinny Pete having to cover the puck, but really, to your point, Doc, he does seem like he's all over the crease.
And it might fall back onto what you said, where Rapel's not a true center, so the defense it has like a butterfly effect. The defense doesn't want to leave the slot because they're worried about him, which means Montreal has all the time in the world behind the net, which is a terrible thing to let somebody do.
St. Louis.
A lot of the goals.
Go ahead.
A lot of the goals have come straight from that pass behind the net, straight into the slot.
St. Louis putting a little bit of pressure on here, but now we'll get a power play. Go ahead, guys.
I was just going to say, yeah, so that's the ripple effect that you're talking about. It starts with the forecheck. If you don't have a true center that's playing forecheck, just like you see a goalie shift from the right to the left to the right to the left, if you don't have a true center and on the forecheck just being that third defenseman, you'll see him slide to the right, to the left, and he's really not helping his team out. All he's doing is moving and taking his energy away. A good center will settle down right in the middle of the ice to take whoever comes through the middle, and the two defense has to take whoever goes wide, and between the three of them, they got to stop people coming in at the blue line. But when you don't have a true center, you get a center that's a winger. They start chasing a little bit. They're a little too deep in the offensive zone. They can't get back. Lots and lots of problems start just from the forecheck, and it trickles all the way back to the defensive zone.
Power play is over. St. Louis can't capitalize. We're getting down to almost 2 minutes, and another goal by Ehans here.
Wow. Yeah, this is. Yeah, just. I mean, there's no words really.
Well, I think the words are congratulations, Montreal. You have played a hell of a game. St. Louis, you got to go back to the drawing board to figure out what you guys are doing.
Fingers gets an assist on that one. Not sure who had the other assist, but now it's an 8-1 game as we are getting down to 1 minute left to go in this third period and really this game. St. Louis clearing it out, but they have to start thinking about what they're going to do in game 4. Come back with a win. You can forget about what happened here. But like I said earlier, guys, a game like this has to start getting into St. Louis's mind of, well, you know what? I don't know if we can line match and think we're going to be okay here because we had the ability to match here and we're getting beaten 8-1. I mean, maybe they thought this could be a sacrifice game for them, but I have a hard time believing St. Louis has that mindset at all.
No way. No way. All you hear from St. Louis's camp is how strong they are. There's a lot of confidence from both their lines. You know, their first line is more of a quiet confidence because they've been able to do it consistently. This line that is out there tonight, they're pretty boisterous with their confidence. They need to back it up. They need to find a way to back it up.
An opportunity there for Bergeron, but gets tripped. St. Louis will get a power play with 16.2 left. A couple of chances maybe to get something going here. Back to the point, but right there, Fapp able to make the save. Puck is loose, but cleared out. Now back into the Montreal zone. 3 seconds on the clock. St. Louis maybe one more chance here on a partial break, but a little too much time playing with the puck. And that will finish the scoring. 8-1 the final for Montreal. And if nothing else, the Canadiens have made a statement that they are going to play hard every game. And they have come away with a victory that was just a dominant game for them.
Absolutely. They played their butts off. Bapper in the pregame interview before we got going, he was talking about how they played with their lines and tweaked them a little bit and said we would be happy with what we saw tonight, and he was absolutely right. His team did not disappoint. Putting up 8 goals against this stout St. Louis team has been unheard of coming into this Stanley Cup Finals. Great job, Montreal. Keep up the good work.
Bergeron had the lone goal for St. Louis that tied it at 1 back in the first after down south had opened the scoring for Montreal, but it was 7 straight goals after that by the Canadiens. 2 more in the first period by Hans that made it 3-1. You see the stats here on your screen. 6 assists for Fingers in this one. He was doing a heck of a job feeding that puck out. Hans with 3 goals, 3 assists. And, of course, you see South as Garcia here. 4 goals, 2 assists for him. Some fantastic work there on defense. And 5 shots total. Fapp didn't face 1 shot in the third period. So just a tremendous defensive and off. I mean, it's just all around, guys. I'm not sure what else you can say about this game other than it was really just all Montreal. Everything worked well for them, and they shut down. You saw, Rapel and Hyam knew, in there for Kornick, but did it cause that much of a problem with chemistry? Is that an issue for these guys? Or, I'm not that familiar with how much Rapel has played with Hyam New and Bergeron, but, maybe a last-minute switch like that might have thrown him off a little bit.
I think it absolutely had to have. I don't think this line played very well together, and I think the chemistry is definitely lacking. Honestly, if I'm St. Louis, I go back to the drawing board. I go, okay, what worked for us in the past when we were struggling? And I think back to round 3 when they had that really bad first game. And then they came back in game 3, and they threw out the line with Kornick on left wing. I passed to score at center, and I think they had Hyam New at the right wing. And that line absolutely came out firing on all cylinders. The chemistry was perfect. I kind of hope St. Louis considers doing something like that.
I just noticed it tells so much of the story, but very interesting. I knew I had 1 give the entire game, which tells me puck very at all. So that probably hurt them. I know I saw a lot of the entries from St. Louis coming from their right wing rather than the left wing. It looks like they were relying highly on Rapel and who is the right wing?
Bergeron.
Sorry, I forgot. So Bergeron. So they were trying to rely and control the entire game themselves, and they were completely leaving out that entire other side. And that probably hurt them as well.
Yeah. I've got a couple of questions coming in about different things that kind of happened throughout game. Like it looked like the defense quit out, or he may have quit or disconnected. But either way, when it's in the third and you disconnect at that point, there's no retribution. You finish out the game and it's a wrap.
We got to the point where we were talking about, just what's going to happen in the next game, that we weren't really even paying attention to much of the play on the ice, because it was at a point where there was not much more to talk about there. So we apologize if some players lagged out or backed out, whatever. But, 2 more goals in the third by Montreal. But we were talking more about, okay, St. Louis is down 6-1. Probably not going to come back in this one. What are they trying to do in this third period? Do they try and build on something and try and make something happen? And really, it was much the same in the third. I don't think St. Louis got anything out of that other than trying to figure out, if these lines go up again, and again, if Pete's in net, is that how much of a factor was Pete in net? Was he that much of a difference? Where maybe he let a couple in that were tough, possibly, but 8 goals to me, I feel like he just didn't get a lot of support defensively.
Yeah, when you have an 8-goal game, there's so many breakdowns. It cannot all be the goalie. Now, the goalie can definitely decrease the amount of 8 goals by just playing out of his mind. But at the same time, you got to have help from your defense. I think it was Doc that called it off that first penalty kill. That the St. Louis went into a super tight diamond, and they just kind of let the offensive player just get right into the front of the net and get a really great shot in goal. I think we kind of saw that throughout this entire game. They just played way too tight, not the aggressive St. Louis that we're used to seeing, and they paid for it over and over again. No, I don't want to. Pete has some of the blame, but there's no way you can lay it all on him.
Well, we're going to hopefully have Game 4 starting. Be nice sooner rather than later, but I'm guessing that's not going to happen. It's almost 9:45 right now on the East Coast. Got another 15 minutes or so to kill in this one. Again, the final 8-1, and it was 1-0 Montreal. Bergeron came back. St. Louis finally getting something going offensively after having to take a penalty to start the game. And again, they made a change. They had to take a penalty. Montreal capitalized on that one and got a power play goal to start this game off. St. Louis finally got something going offensively and were able to find Bergeron open, and he was able to put one home to tie this game up at 1 apiece. But then Montreal went right back to their offense, and it was Hans with 2 goals immediately in the first period to get Montreal up to 3-1. It seemed at that point the momentum had been all Montreal, wondering what was going to happen second period, and Montreal comes right back and puts 3 more up on the board, 2 by South, 1 by Fingers. Fingers, Hands on assists for both of the South goals. Fingers, his goal was unassisted. That one made it 5-1, and then South's third goal, the hat-trick goal, made it 6-1 Montreal in the second period. And then we started talking, okay, what does St. Louis need to do in the third period? Are they looking for a big comeback? Or are they looking to try and organize their offense? Neither one of those happened. South, with his 4th goal from Hands and Fingers, made it 7-1. And then Hands closing it out, gets the hat trick in the third, assisted by Fingers, making it 8-1. And that was the final in this game. And again, no shots on goal, 5 total. No shots on goal for St. Louis in the third, 5 total for them in the game. Not much work there for Fapper. They didn't need his services that much back there. And as a goaltender, when that happens in a game, it's the best thing in the world. You can almost put your controller down when your team goes up 6-1, and you've only seen 5 shots after the first 2 periods. Makes it so much of an easier game on the goaltender. He can relax a little bit more. And Fapper had a couple of opportunities in the third where he had to make some saves, but he was ready for them.
Yeah, he played well. There wasn't a whole lot of work that he had to get done, but when he did have work to do, he was able to stop St. Louis. There was a few times where St. Louis had a lot of offensive pressure. It was few and far between, but when they did get that pressure going, Fapper did what he had to do to keep the puck out of the net. And Fapper's an absolute outstanding goalie, and he definitely helped his team with his great goaltending.
If I'm Skinny Pete right now, I am furious at my team for A, the way they played defensively, and B, they didn't even take enough shots to tie the game.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I've seen that in games I've played, and I've been so angry. Like, what are you guys doing up there? So that locker room's probably not the place to be right now. They did just post the second game lineup for St. Louis. It looks like it's going to be interesting.
Why don't you go ahead and read that off as to what we've got for that game for St. Louis. We'll get to Montreal's in a second.
Doc, you want to go ahead? If you got it right there.
Oh, yeah, I got it. So they got White Knucklers at center, RV Clutches. Hi, I'm new to the NHL is coming back. We'll see if they get the puck this game. Joss the Boss and Nasty Uncle Dad with D's in net. So it looks like they're coming back swinging.
Yeah, it looks like Ehans is also going to be back in this game 4. So we'll continue to watch his stream. And again, we thank him for providing that. It's a big help when you're able to do that. So we're gonna, Ehans is going to be. Messiah's not going to play left wing for the Canadians in game 4. It will be Ehans back with South and Fingers. So you got a hotline like that coming right back at game 4. That is big for Montreal.
Yeah, absolutely. I do have a question. Was the goalie for St. Louis? Is that's not D's nuts, is it?
For the next game?
Yeah, I think it is
for
D's.
this game.
Yeah.
For game 4, it is. Yeah.
Okay. Oh yeah, they had D's down there. It just threw me off because I could have swore it was Pete.
That's what I had, and that's what the lineup was originally, and it's still
Okay.
in there as that, I believe. So
Okay.
I'm seeing these nuts, and I think it's smart to give Skinny Pete some time to rest after that one.
Yeah, for sure. When you have that kind of a rough game, you definitely want to take a step back, breathe a little bit, maybe take a couple of Xanaxes and go to bed.
Well, I got to tell you, we talked about how jumpy he might have been, but the passes out front, the cross creases, the quick shots. I mean, I can kind of understand it. You try not to, bounce around in net. And I tell you what, Fapper's maybe one of the most controlled and patient goaltenders. He doesn't chase. He's so damn good at that, and that's what makes a goaltender good in this game, to not be moving around a lot. And I think he did a hell of a job there. But I can't blame. I can't blame Pete for doing that. It's awfully hard.
Not at all.
Awfully hard to play in a game like that.
I just watched him the entire game and I knew that what was going through his head, or at least I felt like I did because I've been there. And too often I know, like, you start to question your movements, and the best thing to do is take a breath and try to be like Midnight Fapper, like slow down and kind of even middle sit if you have to in those situations. But I was just watching him progressively panic more throughout the game.
Game 4. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. I'm saying I'm gonna be kind of off for just a second, kind of looking into something and trying to wrap my mind around something. So I'll be right back with you guys.
All righty. Let me ask you this, Ford. Obviously, you've been covering this league all season long, and We've talked a little bit about this Montreal team and what they started out with and what they've come to at this point. This has to be, I mean, obviously you saw that they had talent, but I can't imagine too many people saw them coming all the way back to this point, being in the Cup Finals, leading this one 2-1, and really, being the tough, two-way team that they are. I mean, what was, to this point, what Montreal has done, what kind of shock are you in what they've been able to accomplish?
I mean, truthfully, yes, I'm in shock, because nobody comes in and turns a team around like that. I mean, it's basically unheard of in all leagues. But at the same time, nobody ever said it wasn't possible. So, granted, yes, I am in shock because of the way that they've done it. I'm not in shock because Fapper is a great guy. He knows a lot of people, and me and Fapper have sat down and, he just said, look, I built it from the goalie up. Like, I looked at defense first because I didn't want to overstack on forwards.
Right.
And I think a lot of teams can take from that and kind of realize, like, hey, maybe we should look at who our defensemen are going to be this season over, hey, I've got a three-time Norris winner on my team.
Right.
So, obviously everybody wants to be the hero when it comes to, being the forward, the guy that wins, that wins all the awards. But, the saying is championship or defense wins championships. And truthfully, I think that's 100% correct. Fapper has shown that his defense stays strong. Goaltending by far, he has the best winning percentage in the playoffs that I know of. So he's a no doubt runner for playoff MVP. But the whole team has kind of opened up everybody's eyes and been like, wow, you can really turn around nothing and turn it into something.
Yeah, just amazing. I mean, look, you know how this is. You know what it's like to have a team that is struggling. 4-25, I believe, right? That's the point that they had gotten to, and
I think it was something like that.
And to just be able to have guys who have a team that hadn't already quit is amazing. And guys feeling, so we've talked to them, a couple of them over the last couple of weeks, and, their thought was, we have talent, we can play. Let's just try and get some guys who want to, who just want to play, who are willing to put it out there and see where we go. The fact that they had players like that who are willing to take the challenge on and make something of it, it says a lot about the players on that team, and that's the kind of team that you want to be with. The guys who are like, let's just put it out there. All we can do is play hard, show up, play hard, get a chance to figure out what we want to do as a line, as a team, and I got to give them credit. I don't think I've ever seen in any league I've played in, I've never seen a team come back like this and show some resiliency and great ability to adapt to whatever team they're playing. This is certainly the best comeback I've ever seen in a league, and I got to imagine for it's probably the best, if not one of the best you've seen.
Oh yeah, by far, for somebody to kind of take a win on owning a team, and it's like he said, they rode out on a chance to make it this far. There wasn't a guarantee. It wasn't like, the road. At the beginning of the season, they were good. All throughout the season, they were the number one team. And, okay, everybody expected St. Louis to be here, along with another very, very good team in Philadelphia that got beat in the first round. So, right there, it just comes to tell you that sometimes being the underdog or sometimes being the lesser known is all right, because not everybody's looking at you. You're not in the spotlight 24 hours out of the day. You are, you're in the back of the classroom kind of learning what to do and what not to do. And I think that's a lot of what Fapper has kind of adapted to.
Yeah, Pepper's done a great job all around, just building this team up and kind of just putting something together that's been magical. Definitely has earned his right to be here. His team is playing well, and they're very deep, which is a tribute you have to give to him for making the right moves and getting the right guys on the team. He puts in the work. You can see it. He prepares for these teams before these playoff rounds start. He finds a way to take advantage where his team does have the strength, and it's served his team well. It'll be interesting to see if White Knucklers and RV Clutch can continue their undefeated playoff streak. With this current format, unfortunately, if that line cannot be defeated, then they're going to win the cup. This team's going to win the cup. So it'll be interesting to see if Montreal can find a way to stifle that dynamic duo.
Goaltending, as we see it right now, is Cab Relics for Montreal and D's in there for St. Louis. We saw D's in the games last night. Needing to get him back in net tonight in this game 4. We have Joss the Boss and Nasty Uncle Dad on defense. Clutch, Knucklers, and Hi, I'm New up front for St. Louis. So, again, another good offensive line. Maybe, maybe one that's a little more used to playing with each other. Don't know. But Clutch and Knucklers had good chem last night in that 4-2 Game 2 victory. And so with this defense and that goaltending, this might be St. Louis's best chance to get a Game 4 and try and tie this one up. Mentioned Fingers, South, and Hands again going in this game number 4. Same front line, same back line with Backhand and Dakota on defense. And the goaltending right now is different with Cav Relics in there. So that's your lineup right now. And we'll be hopefully getting to a game here shortly as we are approaching 10 p.m. Eastern, about a minute away. Montreal is almost ready with their lineup to go.
Yeah, so interesting fact for St. Louis for Game 3. The goalie that we saw, Skinny Pete, this is his playoff debut. That's what I was trying to figure out. I hadn't seen him on the stat sheet yet, and I was trying to figure out where he came from.
Right.
He's been on St. Louis's roster since day one. But nonetheless, that was his playoff debut, and it was a pretty rough one. So it'll be interesting to see if St. Louis gives him another chance to come back and play another game.
I was going to say that might be his last playoff game too, but I don't.
Well, that speaks. That speaks to the familiarity. I mean, maybe he just didn't know what to expect from his defenseman, and that maybe that's why he was all over the crease.
Yeah, you guys mentioned how uncomfortable he looked, and maybe it's inexperience, maybe it's a lot of things, but maybe it wasn't so much St. Louis's defense. Maybe it was a little bit more on Skinny Pete. I hate to put all the blame on him, but maybe it's part of it for sure.
Montreal almost all readied up. Everyone's in their dressing room ready to go.
In between games, Sibs,
Yeah.
I want to mention a couple guys recently subscribed to the YouTube channel, which
Sure.
all came in to my phone all at once. Anthony Caesar, I'm assuming I'm pronouncing that right. Chase and Mace, Billy Bob 2978, and Gravedigger Plays. So thank you guys for subscribing. And supporting the channel here, and obviously you guys probably either heard of us through friends or playing in the league, so
Yeah, I want to thank everybody for watching the streams and all the people, hosting these streams. Standpoint, I think we're getting pretty close to milestone, aren't we, on the YouTube subscription? You want to talk a little bit about that for us?
Yeah, we're actually getting close to our 150 subscriber mark. Earlier in the season, we had kind of talked about it at the 150 subscriber mark. We're gonna have a giveaway on the channel here. We're gonna give away a $25 gift card to the NHL shop. Kind of a thank you, subscribe, kind of keep the guys into it a little more.
All right, so $25 gift card. Sorry, you were cutting out a little bit there. So you said $25 gift card to, did you say NHL shop?
Yep, yeah, to the NHL shop. So it'll be great for, if you got a birthday coming up or, right around Christmas time if you save it till then.
Very nice. And we thank you guys for subscribing. There's going to be a lot more media coming up. We're going to have all sorts of stuff again next year. We'll probably have a weekly show again. I'm assuming Dog and Fort will come back and do that again. And, we'll do some live games, probably maybe a couple early in the season, but we'll hit, when the games get to be interesting matchups later in the year, we'll hit those. We'll hit the playoffs again for season 2. And I'm going to try and introduce an interview show as well during the weekends where we'll sit down with a player or two and someone from management, just do a straight half-hour interview and try and get you guys to know who's coming up ahead of time, maybe get some questions in for them and give you something a little bit different, too, to listen to every week. So, and in the off-season, we're looking to maybe do something where we can do a roundtable with Best and with Scott Powers and everybody else who is running the site, running this league, and get an idea of what they feel like season 1 did and what's coming up for season 2. And we'll probably do that in a couple of weeks down the road, get it done just before season 2 starts up. And of course, there I believe is going to be a draft, and that's the case, we'll definitely be covering that live as well. So subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already. Hit the bell so you get the notifications when we go live, and we will have plenty of content for you coming up. Both teams look like they're ready to go, so we got a game about to start up here. Lineups look to be pretty much what we expected, what we already announced. So, go ahead.
I do anticipate there to be a penalty off the face-off. I think there was a switch with Ehans, so we should see one team taking a penalty right off the face-off.
All righty.
I believe it's Montreal has to take the penalty this time.
Yes,
yeah.
That's what it looks like.
Let's see if they can show St. Louis how it's done.
Well, I tell you what, I was watching Hans warm up before. He was on his own warming up. He was practicing dumping it over the boards. So I think he wants to make sure he doesn't screw this up. And we thank him for the stream again for this game. If it gets going, we'll see. Looks like he stopped the stream, so not sure if there's an issue with this or not, but hopefully we'll have
I think right before he stopped the stream, it looked like he had a DR error. So I think that he probably
killed
had a connection issue, and he'll have to get his stream back going and get back with the party.
We'll get him out here shortly. Once it looks like he might be back up and running again, but we will get that stream for you as soon as he's up and running. But this game about to start, he had a DC, so yeah, I mean, sometimes of course, everyone knows you got to restart this stupid game over and over again, and no different here. It's again another fun one.
They don't call it Dressing Room Simulator 19 for nothing.
Yeah, not a lot of fun in this game when it comes to starting a game up. It's amazing how bad this has gotten season after season, last couple of seasons, it's just gotten worse and worse. We were dying to get off 17 for 8. Well, actually, we weren't dying to get off 17, but dying to get off 18 to get to 19, and it was just amazing how bad it was right from the beginning. I'm hoping somebody's putting some time into this, and we'll get something better for 20.
I would like to just see them work on the physics of what things actually do when they touch each other. For instance, when a stick touches a post, it won't go through it, or
it'll break, maybe,
or it takes a little bit of force or positioning to actually trip somebody.
Right.
A little bit of tweaking the physics. They could leave the majority of it alone and just work on that for now, and I'd be happy.
Yeah.
So I just want to encourage anybody that's watching our streams right now. We're interactive with our live audience. If you'll drop a comment in the broadcast via whatever form you're watching, we'll try to read it and let you guys be a part of this live show. We're doing it for you guys, and we definitely want to make this as fun and entertaining for you as we can. So definitely throw us your questions, and we'll try to answer them.
Nothing too personal, of course, but we'll do what we can to help you out here. St. Louis is now readying up, and actually they've been waiting. Looks like Montreal is now available, so we will head over to that feed as this game is about ready to get going here. We think everyone's going to make it in this time.
So with a couple of the updates, there was that auto ready. That's something I would like to see EA Sports, if this is continues to be a connection issue, that they just set it up to where it's auto ready when everybody joins in the lobby. It seemed like connection issues were decreased significantly when they had that.
Well, there are a lot of things that we're hoping that they will improve upon in 2020. We'll get one more season in on this godforsaken game before we switch over in September, October. But for now, we've got a Game 4 to talk about here. About ready to go. Montreal in the white. St. Louis again in the blue, and Game 4 is now underway. Glad you're joining us here on the YouTube channel. T-Sibs, Doc Marshmallow, Pucker, Fort, all here with you on game number 4. St. Louis starting out. Dakota with a good defensive play. Now the Blues start out again, getting double teamed against the board. It was clutch, nowhere to go with it. Now they start out again. Back to the point.
Like they decided to forego the penalty.
Well, it was either that or the fact that the St. Louis player jumped off the faceoff and didn't hold still may have led them to believe that they were playing the puck, and Montreal did the right thing and just continued to play.
Yep, I'm okay with it. It's basically Montreal accepting no penalty.
Yeah, thanks for that, St. Louis.
St. Louis, yeah. St. Louis decided, we don't really want it.
And now Montreal will get their own power play here. Joss may have gotten the penalty there on a boarding call, and the Canadians trying to get something going right now. St. Louis has it in their zone. Pass in front, nowhere to go with it. Now Montreal starting back out. Fingers. Back to the point, not cleared out. Hands. Can't find anybody in front. Really clogging that crease, that slot. So Montreal trying to work the point. Good pass in front. Shot is saved. Kicked aside. Now flipped out. 15 on the penalty. Maybe one more rush for Montreal. Across the blue line, not quite. Penalty over. Teams at full strength. 12:40 left to go in the first. No score yet in Game 4. Another intercepted pass.
how the intelligence of white knucklers with the thumbs of RV clutches can answer to this line that Montreal's putting out. It should be interesting.
Not a lot of solid offensive play inside the blue line. And Montreal trying something different with dumping it in. Good play by Hans to make a check there. And now Fingers as well. Gets it back to the point. Shot deflected. It goes wide. Partially blocked by Dees. Still in the corner. Now behind the net, Fingers gets slashed. There'll be another penalty on St. Louis and another power play for the Canadians. See if they can capitalize on this. Puck cleared out. Montreal trying to get back. Good quick play. Nice hustle by
really
Knucklers.
Delayed.
Now puck flipped out again. And the penalty coming up against Montreal. It'll be 4-4 for a minute 8. And then St. Louis will get a partial power play on the other end of this. A little more open ice. I'm not sure who this favors. South able to get that puck. Chasing it down now. Controlling. Backhand flips on net. Nobody there to pick up the rebound. Now cleared out. 4-4, about to be a 5-on-4 in favor of St. Louis as they now have the extra man, but Montreal has the puck. Backhander, good save by Dees off of down south, and he'll hold. Much more tentative pace of this game, guys, than we saw in the last one.
Yeah, we see two defensive teams just kind of filling each other out and trying to find a way to get some offensive scoring chances going. Montreal definitely seems to have the edge right now with the offensive chances, but we know the St. Louis team is pretty explosive, so we expect to see them to start clicking here as the game gets going.
Another trip on St. Louis and another Montreal power play. They've yet to capitalize on these, but their third chance in the first period. Let's see if they can get anything on this one. St. Louis wins and clears it. Hands. Good play by backhand to get something going here. Pass out in front is blocked and now cleared out. Last 4 minutes of the first period now coming up. 1:05 left to go in the power play for Montreal. South. Now Dakota trying the right side. Shot. Deflected. St. Louis has done a good job deflecting a lot of shots in front. Puck is loose, but now picked up and cleared out. 3 minutes left to go in the first period. The final seconds on this power play ticking down, and St. Louis has killed their third penalty. And now they control. Will be too much spinning at the blue line and offsides. Puck dumped in. St. Louis will start out. Uncle Dad controlling. I'm new, but can't get anything going with that puck. Now back the other way. Puck dumped in. This could be icing, and it will be. 23.4 left to go in the first period.
Yeah, lots of penalties to start off this first. Both teams need to tighten up, with their discipline and have a better second.
Final second shot save. Now puck is loose in front, and finally St. Louis puts themselves ahead in this game. And a good pass in front. And unfortunately, Fapper could not get to his right quickly enough. It looks like Clutch may have gotten an assist on that one. And I think it might have been I'm New who got the, or Knucklers. I'm not sure.
It looks like it's Knucklers.
Knucklers got the goal on that one, so.
Yep.
Late goal in that third period, in that first period, giving St. Louis the lead. You see, not a lot really. Shots on goal, 4-3 in favor of Montreal, but not a lot else going on. Very quiet period until the end.
Yeah, and passing's off for both teams. Both these teams are usually connecting with each other much better. Both of them find themselves with giving away the puck quite frequently. And that's due to some good defense by both teams. So,
St. Louis isn't using the defensive strategy they had last game where they were just collapsing in front of the net. Now they're kind of pressuring whoever comes in. Looks like they're starting to trap a little.
Loose puck in front, an opportunity there for Hans. Could not push past Dees, and he holds. Yeah, this line for Montreal not nearly as aggressive as we saw last game, and I'm not sure if that's because of who they're playing against in this one.
well, I think they understand who they're. I was gonna say, I think they understand who they're playing against, and this is not the same line that they were just playing. They've got to play them a little bit differently. You can see how St. Louis was controlling the puck and the pace, which was what we saw Montreal do last game. So Montreal's going to have to find a way to get efficient and get some good scoring chances and get a couple quick goals, put the pressure back on St. Louis, and go from there.
Fingers had a chance, but South could not catch a rebound, and now Montreal trying to start again. Quick shot goes wide. Another shot blocked in front by Fingers. He'll start out with it. And you're absolutely right. It looks like Fingers and South are not getting the same space that they were getting earlier in the first game tonight. And they're finding trouble just maneuvering with the puck.
Yeah, St. Louis is definitely, this line looks a lot more confident, and they're being way more aggressive on any puck carriers. And you can tell it's really messing with Montreal's game plan.
South's backhander goes wide, and now back up the other way. Maybe the best chance Montreal had. Now a partial breakaway, and St. Louis will get a power play. Not a penalty shot. Not enough of an interference on that one.
Lucky. I thought that was a penalty shot for sure.
Now St. Louis wins the face-off, trying to keep it in. Poke check. Puck is loose, but it slides past Fapper. Got lucky there. Almost kicked it in himself. Still being controlled. Now puck over. Good shot. And a great shot by New. And a good pass over to him by Clutch, it looked like. And a St. Louis goal, making it 2-0 here. So they're still giving it to Knucklers there, correct?
Yep.
And now Montreal will get a power play again. They're fourth. Can they capitalize and get something going here? South gets knocked off the puck. Now picked up. Cleared out. South again has it. And now St. Louis back the other way. Montreal collects and starts out again. Puck is dropped in. Could be an ice. It will be.
You can tell they're getting a little frustrated now. They're trying to get the dump and chase in to get some kind of offensive presence.
Good quick pass to Knucklers. He just hit the outside of the net. Almost had the hat trick there. Montreal trying to control. South has it. Dakota gets back to South. Can't get a clean shot off. Now a good flip backhand by Fingers. He got it in there while Dees was still moving and banked it off him for Montreal's first goal.
That's a big goal for Montreal. That's going to give them some confidence, and maybe they'll start to get a little more comfortable in this game.
And now
Yeah, definitely.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, it cuts the lead in half. and then I'll let you take back over.
Montreal cuts the lead in half, and another opportunity there for St. Louis. Again, hitting the outside of the net, so we're going to see Fapper get challenged a lot more in this one. Montreal trying to find some entry, and St. Louis doing a good job at the blue line. Hands has it. In front. Good quick pass and a great shot by South to slam it home. How he found entry on that pass is beyond me, but South was there to slam it home and tie this game up at 2.
It was interesting to watch. South was just trying to take that himself all the way. I was starting to get worried until he passed it to Ehans. But outstanding play.
I think what was amazing was how much they backed off him there, too. They backed off of Hans as soon as he got it, and I could not understand what was going on.
Sibs, Jordan Fapper just said Cab Relax is in net.
I'm sorry.
Game.
Okay, Cab, right.
From Montreal.
My bad. Sorry, Cab. St. Louis again, another opportunity. Puck is loose in front. Picked up again, now back at the point. Shot by Joss is a good blocker save by Cab. Blues, a couple of seconds left to go, trying to get one more. Yeah, it looked like they were in control of this game, but Montreal, with a couple of late goals, have tied this one up at 2, setting up for a very interesting third period.
Boys and girls, we have a game. This is shaping up to be a good one. Montreal needs to find a way to bury a couple more pucks and get out of this game with a win. If they can do that, they'll be leading the series 3-1 and be putting a lot of pressure on St. Louis to find a way to win a couple games tomorrow night. Montreal, this line is not disappointing, and Fapper said that they wouldn't. So far, they've been impressive, and they're actually finding a way to compete with this RV Clutch, White Knucklers, Josh the Boss, dynamic trio.
Third period underway now. Game 4 with Montreal up 2-1 in this series. St. Louis could use a win big time tonight. Penalty now going to be called on St. Louis, and Montreal will try and enter in. Offside, but now a power play. Actually not offside, just touched by St. Louis. And Montreal with the first chance here in the third period to put themselves up in the game. Shot from the point goes wide, partially deflected in front. Fingers. Goes all the way back to the point. Now hands. Good quick shot and a blocker save. He was moving to his left, and D somehow got a blocker on it. Now offside. Wow, that was good. That might be a highlight right there. That was an incredible save by Dees. Montreal, one more chance here with a minute left to go. Pass in front is deflected and pushed out, and St. Louis able to clear. Good hustle on the other end, but it gets around the boards, and the Blues still able to hold on to it. Good hit off the puck, and now coming back the other way comes Fingers. Tries to dump it in, but that one's blocked by Joss, and he moves it out. Penalties over, teams are even, so no dice for Montreal. Saved by Dees right now, probably keeping this game at 2. Flipped in by Dakota. Coming back out now the other way come the Blues. Clutch. Now in front. Good pass and a shot from Joss, and an easy blocker save. Now again. Out in front. Puck is loose, now picked up by backhand. He'll look to move it out. Rethinks, wants to start out again. Now Dakota. Flipped around, and Hans goes the other way. So a lot of movement by Montreal, trying to find a safe opening out of their own zone, but a good forecheck by St. Louis. Now finally they get it out, but Fingers flips it in. He's able to find Hans. Should have been an offside, but great hustle by Hans. Now St. Louis able to move it in. Pass goes wide. South Dakota, not a state, just two different players. Dakota again. Fingers, now Hans. Tries to get it back to Fingers, but intercepted, taken the other way by Amnu. Flips it in off the glass. Montreal back the other way. 9 minutes left to go in the third period. Fingers gets it, tries to get a shot off, hits the outside of the net, clanging off the metal, and now the other way come the Blues. Good hit by Dakota, knocking, looked like Clutch off that play. Now Dakota picks up. Fingers. Good quick shot, rebound was loose, but Hans couldn't get to it. Uncle Dad able to knock him off it. Puck still in the zone, now back to backhand. Puck flipped on net, good glove save by Dees, and he'll hold.
Yeah, Montreal definitely seems like they have the momentum going into this third, and they're just dominating the play. We kind of see St. Louis a little uncomfortable there, giving some bad turnovers. It's almost leading to Montreal goals. St. Louis has got to be more protective of the puck moving forward and find a way to get the puck in deep and get back to the offensive, time puck control that we've seen from them in the past.
4.5 left to go in the third. St. Louis now trying to move out again. Gets knocked off the puck. Tipped out. Might be inside the Montreal zone. I think Dakota may have gotten a stick on that one. We'll see where they place it. They do place it at the face-off circle for the Canadians.
Yeah, I would love to be in St. Louis's chat right now to see what Knucklers and them are talking about. But, Knucklers doesn't believe in the dump play, and we've seen it a few times now where this right wing that they're playing with has tried to dump it in.
And they able to walk right in for a goal. Some good maneuvering, but a goal nonetheless here at 16:56. And that is Clutch on the goal.
Yeah, and that's what he does so well. He finds a way to just wiggle through everybody. He literally skates through almost 4 people there and finds a way to just bury the puck. And that's just something that, he's known for. He's got some great thumbs and great vision.
Montreal on the attack, but a loose puck in front covered up by Dees.
A thing I've seen from Clutches a lot is he rarely shoots short side. He really loves that come straight to the post and go far side almost every time, but he does it so well.
Quick maneuver too.
I was gonna say you can't slide over with him either, because he's so good that if you give him that short side, I guarantee you he's gonna make you pay for it. It's nowadays those goalies are so adept to making sure that short side's covered. It's almost got to be your go-to play to try to reach across the goalie and find a way to get it in the net.
Well, the goalie covering the short side is basically daring them to try to get past the defense, and that's a dare that Clutches loves to take.
But it's the right play too, right, Doc? It really is the right play.
Yeah.
We got 46 left to go in this third period, and St. Louis up by 1, controlling the puck. Can they get one more? They do.
Woo! Let's go, boys.
Pass to Clutch. Well, I thought it was Clutch, but I don't think it was actually now.
I don't think so.
So I'm New gets the goal.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
And a 4-2
it might
lead
actually be their right. I think he switched the sides of the ice. I think it might have been him that buried it.
Yeah, they switched sides, absolutely. Now 4-2 St. Louis, 20 seconds left to go, and Montreal played a hell of a game but have not been able to hold it here in the last couple of minutes. And their opportunities to score on several power plays just did not happen for them. St. Louis will hold on to a victory here, and it'll be a 4-2 victory for the Blues as they draw this to 2-2 now. And even though Montreal played a heck of a game and had great time on attack and shots on net, 2 goals by Knucklers, 1 by Clutch, 1 by I'm New. And that accounts for all St. Louis 4 goals. They've won their 2 games by having to play really hard, but it was a game that Montreal could have won, came back and it had opportunities and just could not capitalize on it.
I'm trying to snag the game summary real quick, and I'll jump in here. Give me 1 second. There we go.
I noticed Clutches was on every single point. Not surprising.
Yeah. And we saw that last night. This same line pretty much, also won a 4-2 game last night that needed to be won, and they did it again tonight.
Boy, this is a different 4-2 game than what we saw last night, though. Last night, it seemed like the entire game St. Louis controlled. And there were some times in this game I was kind of getting uncomfortable. It was like, oh, Montreal's controlling this game. It looks like they're going to find a way to steal this one. And St. Louis comes up big in the last few minutes of the game. But Montreal played their hearts out. They played fantastic. Almost this entire game, it was just the last couple of minutes where it just went the other way. But hats off to Montreal. Great game, and exciting game to watch for sure.
So again, 4-2 final for St. Louis. 13-9 shots on goal in favor of the Canadians. Time on attack, though, in favor of St. Louis. They did a good job of holding on to the puck. May have not gotten a lot of shots off, but were able to something with the puck. Really more in control of this one. Again, even with not a lot of shots on net. We'll see if we can also get somebody on here to talk about this game.
Yeah, let me see what I can do. I'll jump in the lobby. I was talking there for a half second and was muted until you jumped back in. My bad.
No problem.
But I will, I'll jump in the lobby and see if we can't get somebody in here to talk about this game. Maybe White Knuckles or Knucklers can join us or somebody like that. That'd be great.
And we may also try and get Ehans in here as well. He certainly had a great first game and able to provide and really, play as good of a second game as he could have, quite honestly. This Montreal team certainly played 2 really solid games. The first one obviously was all them, but able to play a really solid second game, a much more effective front line for the Blues, really, in this one was the difference. They're able to get down low, and the Blues in the first game were able to get down low from time to time too, but getting into the zone and then being able to get around the defenseman and do something with the puck, that's what Clutch and Knucklers were able to do, and then able to set up Chaim New for a goal in this game as well to close out the scoring. Certainly a big reason why they win this one. So a 4-2 final for St. Louis. We'll see who else we can get on here to talk about this as we get into the post game here and get some idea of what everyone's thinking. But 2-2, first impressions, Doc, or actually we'll start with you for it. First impressions of this series being at 2-2. And the way these games have played out, what's the biggest surprise to you right now?
Truthfully, I wouldn't say that it was much of a surprise. I expected these games to go. I expected the series to go 7 games. Montreal coming out tonight and absolutely, and for a lack of better word, shit kicking. St. Louis, that was probably the biggest surprise. St. Louis definitely broke down defensively and didn't really play the style that we've seen them play, all season, let alone the playoffs all season. And I think that was the biggest surprise to me was that, about how badly they broke down in that game 1 tonight.
Since, let me jump in here real quick.
Yeah.
I sent out a couple of invites. It looks like Ehans is willing to join us. If you could forward those.
He is. Yeah, yeah. As you say that, Ehans joins us here on the post-game show, and listen, thanks for joining us tonight. Obviously, a tough loss in that game number 4, but let's first talk about game number 3. And I think we said in the post-game it was probably about as perfect of a game as you'd want to expect from your team. An 8-1 victory. Everything seemed to be working well, and you guys really moving the puck well in their zone in that game number 3. What was the difference? How come you guys were able to move the puck so well in that game?
Everyone was just clicking on all cylinders. It seemed like we were able to play our game. We didn't let them affect how we were playing, and I think that's probably the biggest thing. Good chemistry between everybody. It's always helpful as well.
In that game number 4, again, a little bit different for you guys. A lot tougher for you to get in the zone. You were able to finally get in there on the left side, and that led to the first goal. I think you guys were able to work. Actually, the second goal where you tied it up, you were able to work it on the left side of the boards. But it looked like you guys had a lot tougher time doing that in game number 4.
Yeah, they're a good team. They have good lines all up and down. I mean, that's obviously their best line, as you guys were saying in the thing yesterday. They haven't lost all playoffs. So we stuck in tight the whole game, and it's just we got off track towards our game towards the end. We let them kind of dictate how the game was going, and that's what it kind of came back to bite us. But we got good lines coming out tomorrow. I'm sure everyone's ready to go. It'll be a great. Hopefully we don't have to go to Game 7, but it'll be a good games tomorrow for sure. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, you guys played extremely well together. Midnight Clapper was in here pregame talking about how they had been playing with the lines a little bit over the weekend, and it said that this line would not disappoint us tonight, and you guys absolutely played phenomenal. Tell me a little bit about how you felt with the lines being changed up, and how obviously it's working. So how do you feel about your new line mates?
Yeah, it's definitely was working. But no, I mean I've been playing with down south for a little while. I've been playing with him since like NHL 17, and Graham's a good guy. He's easy to get good chemistry with. It's just we're all as a team we all seem to be pretty comfortable playing with anybody, whoever they throw out there with us. So that's definitely good to have.
We got Nasty Uncle Dad in here as well, and congrats on able to do something there in Game 4 and tie this one up. Same front line in Game 3 from Montreal, wound up going up against you in Game number 4. What were you guys able to do differently to slow them down on that one?
Hey boys, I'd just like to say, are you guys watching the same series I am? Because this is a real sweat, man. It's crazy. I mean, it's nuts.
For sure.
It's nuts. I mean, I wasn't expecting a lot there, but damn, I have my foot in my mouth. I don't know what to say. I mean, is this one of the toughest offenses offensive teams that you've seen? It really, to your point, it looks like you and Joss really had to work hard to keep them out of the zone as much as you did. Is this one of the better teams you guys have faced all year? Definitely. It's one of the sweaty ones. Every mistake counts. You can't leave nothing in the open. It's every play, every percentage has to be calculated. It's much more of a chess match, than playing hockey, because what you're trying to do is read your opponent, and they're trying to read you. So I think like every play is important, and definitely Montreal stepped up their game.
Open a question.
Nasty, how big?
Go ahead.
Yeah, Nasty. How big of it was it for you guys to be able to tie this series up, go into Game 5 with the home ice advantage, so you guys can kind of line match a little bit if you want to. How big was it for you guys to win this game in Game 4 tonight?
No, it was huge. I mean, I wasn't looking forward to it, at all. I mean, all day I knew I had to play, and I had red cheeks, sweaty palms. I didn't know what was going on. And you always try to get cranked up a bit before the game, but you always get a laugh here and there. But it was dead silent. I mean, you got a party going on with the boys, and this is definitive. Like, if you're not going to get that win, you're not, might as well throw the cup away. So, I mean, every win counts, right? And of course, playing with Knucklers and RV, like you don't want them to get that loss either, right? So it's big pressure, and man, me and Joss were drinking a couple of beers over that, and we couldn't believe it, We were like, holy crap, we're going up against probably one of the toughest teams in the league.
There was
we said, we had to get our A game out,
right? And,
but we played game 1, right? So all our 3 games are up, but I think we played how can I say, we played the best we could for what we showed there.
And there was a save in I think it was the second period by Dees on a penalty kill. He made a glove save where it looked like he was sliding to his left and somehow reached back. Talk about when you saw that happen. How much of a sigh of relief did you breathe after that?
Oh, like every big play, your blood just drops to your legs. You get all cold. You're like, oh, you don't know what to think about it, right?
Yeah.
But it wasn't only second period. I mean, throughout the whole game, it was just a back and forth, just trying to pierce through this somehow. It looked like they were trapping us, just trying to figure out how we're going to do this. Like I said, it was a pure chess match. When you're going up against a team that is so offensive and so defensive, it's a real struggle to try to find the weakness.
We'll let this open up. We got E-Hands on and Nasty Uncle Dad for the post game here. Fort, what do you got for the boys here?
I mean, truthfully, I guess everything's been answered the way that I would ask it. Really, I mean, besides like, how do I say that? Nasty, what are your guys' like going forward? As you said, like. What are your thoughts for kind of tomorrow? Are you going to go to 7, or you obviously close it out? How do you guys think?
I think we're just running it game to game. We're not really looking for that game 7, obviously, but if it has to go, it's got to go. So we're just really trying to find our rhythm here, and I think the rhythm that we have to establish is playing that game by game. We can't just go up ahead and already make those game 7 lineups when we didn't even win game 5 yet. Right. So I think we just got to get riled up and really just pray for pray for the good connections, pray for the EA gods. I guess there's a lot of people praying for that, right? So
of course.
We just got to get the good rebounds and good shots on nets and see what gives after.
Doc, what do you got?
Oh, I gotta wake up. All right.
Did you do this again to us?
Where's the kick button? Let's get this guy out of here.
Like normal.
He has such a soothing voice.
Gotcha.
No, I think I'm very impressed with I'm impressed with Montreal, because honestly I thought St. Louis was untouchable, so I'm impressed by that. I'm actually a little shocked to see Rapel and Cornecht wasn't in it, but like Rapel's line not actually performing. I did not expect that at all.
Right.
I know
Montreal.
Montreal played really well. What's up?
you have to keep in mind that our center is not here this week. You know, IPass. He's gone on he's gone for vacation. So it was a big deal and a big readjustment as well, right?
Sure.
Yeah, that does hurt for sure.
So for sure the chemistry is not 100%, you know.
Yeah, that we're actually discussing that, how Rapel isn't a natural center and how much that actually probably affected the game, and I didn't know he wasn't going to be available, so I apologize, but
no, don't worry about it. You know.
That was a shocking thing to me, was seeing that, like, because I'm used to seeing Rapel put up a lot of points. I was expecting to see Kornick in there with him putting up those points, but that was like the biggest shock for me going into watching the series. And then I've been me personally just watching the goalies and their different styles, and I noticed the different style between what was Montreal's other goalie? Cabrelex. So you got the style of him versus Fapper, where Fapper is a very patient, he's a very steady goalie, and then I was watching Cabrelex. He's still patient, but he was following the puck more. You know, he was actually moving a lot more, which you guys capitalized on, him being slightly out of position for some of those. But he was playing it well. He was just playing a little more aggressive when the puck was moving back and forth. And then your guys' goalies, the comparison between Dees and Skinny Pete. Skinny Pete he looked nervous. He was all over the place. And then Dees looked calm and collected most of the game. And he was making some huge saves. So those are the things I was noticing. I expect to probably see more of D's going into further into the series, probably because goalies are a weird breed, and it takes us a little while to emotionally bounce back after games.
Wow.
So I could see him, Skinny Pete, not even feeling himself for the games, you know.
So I want to thank Nasty for joining us, and also we got Ehans here with us as well. I'm going to throw it back to Ehans. You guys have played extremely well. You got to feel like you had a moral victory, even though you guys didn't get the winning game for it. The way you guys played, you guys played solid in both those games and just dominated Game 3. What does Montreal need to do in Game 5 and 6 to be successful in the series?
We just gotta stick to our game. We can't let them deteriorate how we play. We have to. It's just everyone's ready on our team. It seems as so. So yeah, we just gotta stay the path, keep playing how we're playing. You know, St. Louis is a great team. There's no doubt in that at all. So it's been a dogfight, and I'm expecting it to be a dogfight till the end for sure. Just want to say good game, Nasty, as well. You guys played great.
Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, you guys played fucking awesome too there. But you got to keep in mind, man, Montreal, they're going to be in my basement at the end of the round, right? At the end of the playoffs.
I don't know. That's what you've been saying, huh? Uh-oh. I don't know, man.
All right. Well, listen, I got one more question for both of you, and then we'll let you go. And I'll ask Ehans first. Is a 2-2 after 4 games okay with you? Is that? I mean, obviously you prefer to be up 3-1 or win over 4, but are you guys satisfied with being at 2-2 right now?
I mean, I wouldn't say we're satisfied. I mean, it's good. It's good being 2-2. I mean, it's much. Hey, the series could have been over already, so I'll take 2-2. So I mean, yeah, we'd like to be up 3-1. We played good enough to get there, but we just didn't bring it out to the end. But 2-2's not bad. You can't be mad about 2-2.
How about you, Nasty? Same question. Are you guys satisfied with 2-2, or do you feel like you should have been better off at this point?
Coming up, Montreal's an Eastern team. We haven't played them that much this season. Didn't have time to figure them out. I mean, yeah, we're all right with 2-2. Of course, like a perfect situation, we were expecting a 3-1 for, a calm night tomorrow. But, yeah, I'm pretty glad it's at least 2-2 and not that 3-1 where all the pressure is on us. But definitely Montreal can surprise us.
All right, listen, guys, congrats on your wins tonight and being 2-2. Best of luck tomorrow in games 5 and 6.
All right, thanks a lot, man.
All right,
good luck, man.
That's Ehans and Nasty Uncle Dad joining us in the post-game show, and we thank them for their time tonight. Let's close it out here, guys. We'll start with you first. For what are you what are your thoughts about going into games 5 and 6? How is who's got the upper hand at this point? We know Joss and Uncle Dad and D's are maxed out at this point until game 7. Does that help Montreal at all, or should they be more worried about the forward lines? How do you see the next 2 games playing out?
I mean, truthfully, I think I think Montreal, they just need to come out and play their game. Like I said, every team that plays St. Louis is going to have to come out and kind of punch them in the mouth and just kind of show them. I mean, Montreal did that tonight. Obviously, you don't want to sleep on Montreal or St. Louis, and we've seen this series back and forth, and I don't expect anything less tomorrow night, especially going towards games 5 and 6. Those are crucial games. So, yeah, well, definitely. I mean, I definitely hope Montreal pulls it out. I really do.
Doc, you still awake?
I'm awake.
All right, here we go. Just make. I'm sending messages in Discord, just making sure you're there. Go ahead, man. What are you thinking?
I would like to see Montreal keep up the pace. They're pushing that pressure. It worked the first game. It looks like they pulled back a little the second game, and it kind of hurt them. St. Louis is one of those teams you cannot allow them to dictate the pace of the game. And if you try to play it conservative to start, once they get that lead, they're going to hold that lead. So Montreal just needs to come out swinging like they did tonight, and they should be fine. And I'm really excited to see what they can do.
Pucker, your final thoughts coming into 5 and 6 tomorrow night?
Yeah, we were talking about how many players for St. Louis is maxed out. I'm not too concerned about the defense, and where my head's at is I might be concerned about the goaltending. Tonight we saw Skinny Pete make his playoff debut, and there's probably a reason for that. He had a really rough night in net. I'm wondering if availability is going to play a factor, and if we're going to have to see him again tomorrow night. And if we do, we'll see if he's able to settle himself down and find a way to play big for his team. Because if you've got somebody shaking in net, it doesn't matter what you've got in front of you. It's going to be real tough with this offensive team like Montreal is. You need a good goaltender back there for sure. And I'm not saying that Skinny's not a good goaltender. I'm just saying he had a rough game. And there's a guy on St. Louis's team named Jeff Lars, and I was trying to grab his PSN for us for the show. But anyways, he's a solid goalie. He's putting up a 1.4 goals against average and an 87 or 88% save percentage. So it'll be interesting to see if he's available. If he's available, I expect him to play both games tomorrow night and try to bring this home for St. Louis. But I think because of the lineups and possibly even availability of missing iPass, the goaltender situation, that Montreal may very well have the advantage going into game 5 and 6, and St. Louis may find themselves in an uphill battle going in to these games tomorrow night.
All right, well, we'll be on tomorrow night. Guys, gentlemen, thank you for your time tonight. As always, Pucker, Doc, and Fort, we'll hopefully see you guys tomorrow night.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Yep. That's Pucker, Doc Marshmallow, and Ford. I'm T. Sib saying so long for the evening. We thank you for joining us tonight. The series is tied up at 2 games apiece, with Montreal taking game number 3, 8-1, but St. Louis coming back and winning game 4, 4-2. You've been watching the World Hockey League, the World E-Hockey League, the playoffs right here on YouTube. We will talk to you tomorrow night. It's an 8 p.m. start of the game, but it'll be a 7:45 pregame for the WEHL Stanley Cup playoffs. And we'll talk to you tomorrow night at 7:45 p.m. Eastern.